So this video is a little late, but a little late is better than never, so today I'm covering the other two Link Click promotional music videos. Will the Link Click creators continue to hide insane lore in their songs, or will I finally reach the peak of my delusion? Let's find out. The translations are taken from the wiki, and spoiler warning. Train Trail. This is meant to be an in-character rap battle, so this will be interesting to analyze. First up is Li Chen. I suppose I can't blame him after what he's been through, but he's quite a depressed child. He talks about the abuse he faced, how he felt alienated, and how the anger he feels from his childhood memories fuels his actions today. Nothing super interesting, I kind of expected all that to be true. Next is Leo Xiao, who has the most interesting lines. He talks about being the mastermind of everything, controlling all his puppets. From what we've seen of him so far, we can infer he's going to be a pretty important character, and at this point he's just outright saying it himself. He also brings up turning clocks and changing scenes. It seems like he's very aware of the fact that the past has been changed. This could be due to some kind of ability he has, maybe something like the power to keep his memories from every timeline. Based on the Bridon Arc trailer, I theorized he might have been the one to give the photo related to Cheng Xiaoshi's parents to the boys. To do this though, he would need to have the ability to take actions that go against what is fated to happen. He essentially confirms this in the song, with two lines that basically imply when something happens in the future, he has already set up the changes needed for it to occur in the past. His last line, trying to escape my control, you can't do it even with an extra 100 years, seems like a direct call out to Guang. No matter how many times he goes back, he will never be able to change anything. After the chorus, we have Ling, who actually went quite hard. She tells everyone to shut up, calls them cheap, ugly, and disrespectful. She says she's not afraid of knives, which I feel like is a bit too soon for Guang, and ends up by stating this isn't a battle, it's an adult educating children. Lore-wise, the only line that stands out to me is, I haven't even started using my power yet. In season 2, she received Li Tianxi's memories after her death. A lot of people, myself included, are convinced this wasn't just her memories, but her entire ability, which this line would be directly confirming. Cheng Xiaoshi's part is more compliments to himself than insults to everyone else. He says he's strong, has power like that of a god, and that the world considers him a legend. His lines about having many faces and taking on unfit projects are references to his ability. He also says that the yellow topaz is the hardest gem, which is just false. It's the third hardest. So I'm assuming the translation I'm reading might be a little wonky. After being told to say something by Cheng Xiaoshi, we have Guang's part. His first line, give me a pair of eyes to see all, is obviously a reference to his ability. So his second line, give me a pair of hands to enclose all darkness, has to be about Cheng Xiaoshi's and I guess technically his ability. I mean, that's just a long-winded way of explaining clapping, right? In Cheng Xiaoshi's part, he uses we and us, talking about both him and Guang. But in Guang's part, he says he's the only one at the top. This is him talking about how he's single-handedly trying to change fate while Cheng Xiaoshi is blissfully unaware, just referring to their jobs together. His last bit is another sentence that is just completely false. The truth tugs at my heartstrings, but I'm not afraid. If the truth here is Cheng Xiaoshi is dead, Guang is very, very afraid of that. He is not fooling anyone. At the end, everyone gets one last word in. Guang is still repeating his whole past and future let them be thing. At this point, I'm convinced he only says that so Cheng Xiaoshi doesn't stuff up all the work he's put in to keep him alive. Not because he actually cares about destroying reality. Leo Xiao's last line is, we're about to reach the final station, which is interesting as the chorus, which is repeated at the end, is about fate or time reaching its final judgment. He clearly knows something about the different timelines and where they'll go in the future. As for the visuals, the most eye-catching thing is the divide of the black and white backgrounds. This is meant to symbolize good versus evil. In their solo sections, Leo Xiao is only ever shown over the black background, while Guang is only ever shown over the white. Every other character has both, even if it's just a little bit. This puts those two in direct opposition of each other. We now know Guang is the lead on that side, so this would put Leo Xiao as the mastermind on the other side. This is further insinuated by the string puppet he holds. Going against my theories that Leo Xiao and Ling have abilities, the other three characters' eyes glow the way they do when they use an ability, while theirs don't change color at all. Finally, we've got all the obvious references. A clock ticking backwards for reversing time. The ones in the black sections of the MV are quite damaged, while those in the white sections aren't, continuing that good versus evil metaphor. Smaller broken clocks fly by for the abandoned timelines, and picture frames because their abilities use pictures. House of Hotheaded. Unfortunately, suggestive lines aside, this song is quite an obvious villain anthem, setting up Leo Xiao Xiao, Vayne, and Xiao Fei as the bad guys of the upcoming season. Most of it is very plain, just talking themselves up a bunch. They say they're hunters, while everyone is the prey, they're controlling everything, they don't care who lives or dies, and they're hot. Which is not wrong, but it's also pretty cringe. The only part that's interesting lore-wise is the second verse. To me, it seems like a direct reference to Lu Guang's situation. It's specifically talking about one person, and the first line can read like it's talking about different actions taken over multiple reset attempts. The disaster can be substituted with Cheng Xiaoshi dying, which means the fire would be whatever caused it. I mentioned the photo theory before, the same thing also applies here. We are being so plainly told that these three are involved in Cheng Xiaoshi's death and have been working in the shadows for a very long time. It's only now that Lu Guang has been attempting to fix things by rewinding time that he has finally began to notice them, the ones who lit the fire. There's also another layer to this. When you think about it, they really shouldn't know what's going on. Unless you have some way to keep your memories from previous timelines, like an ability or something, the only people who should know Lu Guang has altered time would be himself, who wouldn't tell them anything, and the girls, who only found out recently, after the others had already started acting out some kind of plan. Apparently I'm dying on this memories of every timeline ability hill. Moving on to the visuals. This might seem obvious, but I find it interesting that Xiao Fei is included. From the trailers, all we know about him so far is that he's attractive, so this song is really the first look at his character we get. If he's associated with these two, he's unfortunately going to be a dodgy bloke. Hell, he might not just be dodgy, but super dodgy, based on their positioning in the MV. He and Liu Xiao are sat back on the couch relaxed, while Vayne is leaning forward with his head lower than theirs. While this could just be their personalities, to me this also establishes a power dynamic between the three. Sure, they're all bad people, but by positioning those two above Vayne, it makes it seem like they're the masterminds of the operation, while Vayne is something of a pawn himself. Or it could be hinting that these two work in a higher plane than Vayne. Say, they have abilities while he doesn't? This is also hinted at when for the first time ever we see Liu Xiao's eyes change colour, like the others do when they use an ability. The other two's eyes also glow a bit, but they're still their original colour. Liu Xiao's changed to purple. This MV is full of the colour red, which we actually don't see a lot in Ling Click. Red is a symbol of danger, it's the colour of blood and represents anger and aggression. Some other little details include the lyrics forming police tape, continuing the bad guy thing. There's also the film reels being metaphors for timelines. These hockey puck looking things appear throughout the MV. We see black and white ones, so I'm assuming they're meant to be pieces from a game of checkers, which would play into the controlling and good versus evil story we've got going on. Also notice how the black pieces are free throughout the video, while the white are confined to a table. Once again telling us that Lu Guang is just playing into their hands. The main set of the MV is a dilapidated stage with lights, the lounge, and a microphone. The mic is symbolic of one's influence and power over people, continuing the idea of them being the masterminds behind everything. As a whole, the scene is like that of a film set, waiting for actors to file in while these three watch from the director's seat. A similar setup was used in season 2, when Lu Guang was released after being kidnapped. They must be fond of this one. And for a final speed round, I want to point out some details in the Bridon Arc poster. Lu Guang and Liu Xiao are in black and white, putting them in direct opposition of each other, making them our main good and bad guy. Cheng Xiaoshi is positioned lower than both of them, like he's not as important. You could also either say that he's the divide between them or the bridge that connects these two. Him lying down is also a reference to him being dead. Lu Guang has his foot on a picture of Xiao Fei, which is straight up disrespectful, but also hints that he may be defeated at the end of the season, while Liu Xiao continues into the next as our main villain. The papers are reports about the mafia in Bridon, which Vayne leads. Same thing as Xiao Fei, they're contained in the paper, so I think they'll only be important this season. Red roses are symbolic of true love. I'm not implying anything. There are 2 Polaroid photos of places in Bridon, while 2 are undeveloped. I'd go with this referring to failed reset attempts. The letters could also be reflecting this. 2 are opened while 1 is not. That 1 is the 3rd and final reset attempt, which has been implied before. The hourglass is empty. Collectively, I think this is implying the Bridon Arc will show us the start of Lu Guang's last attempt to save Cheng Xiaoshi. Thank you for your time.